Imagine sitting across from your neighbor. He smiles, he's polite, he even offers you dinner. He looks so normal, so harmless. But what if I told you? That very same man has human remains hidden in his home, body parts stuffed in drains, and secrets buried in the silence of the night. This isn't fiction. This is the real story of Dennis Nilsen, one of Britain's most chilling serial killers. A man whose mask of kindness concealed horrors that would leave an entire nation in shock. Stay with me as we uncover how an ordinary man turned into a monster, and why the truth almost slipped through the cracks until a clogged drain gave his secrets away. Dennis Nilsen was born in Scotland in 1945. From the outside, his childhood seemed ordinary, but inside, it was marked by pain and loneliness. His father abandoned the family, and his mother struggled to hold things together. But the defining moment came when young Dennis saw his grandfather's corpse laid out before burial. Most children would have turned away in fear. Dennis didn't. He felt fascinated. He described it later as peaceful, almost comforting. That twisted fascination with death would cling to him for life. As he grew, he sought structure in the army and later became a civil servant in London. To his co-workers, he was quiet, intelligent, and reliable. No one suspected that behind his calm demeanor, he was drowning in loneliness. Loneliness so deep, it would one day turn deadly. It was 1978, and Nilsen had grown increasingly desperate for companionship. One night, he met a young man in a London pub. They drank, laughed, and eventually, Nilsen invited him back to his flat. By morning, the fear hit him. Nilsen dreaded being abandoned again, and in that fear, his twisted logic whispered, "If he cannot leave me, he cannot hurt me." He grabbed a tie and strangled the man to death. Cold, calculated, final. But what he did next is what truly horrified investigators years later. He didn't dispose of the body immediately. Instead, he bathed it, dressed it, and kept it in his apartment. He talked to it, watched TV beside it, even slept next to it. For Nilsen, death became the only way to have control over companionship. And that was just the beginning. From 1978 to 1983, Dennis Nilsen lured at least 12 young men into his flat. Many were drifters, runaways, or simply men looking for a warm meal and a place to sleep. His method was eerily predictable. Offer them food, drink, or kindness, wait until they felt safe, strangle them, sometimes drowning them in his bathtub to make sure they were gone. But Nilsen wasn't interested in killing and discarding. He wanted to possess. After death, his victims became his companions. He would position their bodies in chairs, prop them up beside him, or place them in bed. He talked to them, played music, and drank with them as though they were still alive. Only when decomposition made it unbearable would he dismember the bodies. He disposed of them by burning them in his garden, or later, in the most gruesome twist, flushing body parts down the drain. In 1983, Nilsen moved into a North London apartment with no garden. With no place to burn remains, he relied on his sink and toilet to dispose of his victims. But the walls can't hide secrets forever. Soon, tenants began complaining about foul smells and blocked drains. Plumbers were called in. What they found looked like chunks of raw meat wedged inside the pipes. When samples were tested, the truth emerged. It wasn't meat. It was human flesh. Police traced the blockage back to Nilsen's flat. When they knocked on his door, Nilsen didn't fight, didn't run. Instead, with chilling calmness, he confessed, "It's a long story. It goes back a long time. I'll tell you everything." Inside, investigators found bags filled with human remains. The quiet neighbor was unmasked as one of Britain's most prolific serial killers. In 1983, Dennis Nilsen stood trial for 6 counts of murder and 2 of attempted murder. The details horrified the public. How could a man so ordinary commit such unthinkable crimes? His defense claimed he suffered from diminished responsibility due to mental illness, but the jury wasn't convinced. They saw not madness, but a chilling control, a predator who knew exactly what he was doing. Nilsen was sentenced to life in prison, where he remained until his death in 2018. What makes Dennis Nilsen's story so terrifying isn't just the killings, it's the mask. He wasn't the monster lurking in the shadows. He was the polite man who held the door open, the quiet neighbor you never thought twice about. He killed not for rage, not for lust, but because he couldn't stand the thought of being alone. That deadly loneliness drove him to destroy lives in the most horrifying way imaginable. The story of Dennis Nilsen leaves us with one chilling question. How many ordinary faces hide extraordinary darkness? Your neighbor, your co-worker, the man on the bus. Could they too be hiding secrets that the world will only discover when it's far too late? This is the story of the kindly killer. But sadly, it won't be the last time we uncover the mask of a serial killer who lived quietly among us. The story of Dennis Nilsen doesn't just shock us, it unsettles us to the core. Because it forces us to confront something terrifying. Monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they wear a friendly smile. Sometimes they hold the door open for you. Sometimes they're the neighbor you wave to every single morning. Nilsen blended into society so perfectly that no one ever suspected the horrors inside his home. His victims were forgotten souls, young men searching for warmth, kindness, or simply a place to rest. But instead of finding safety, they walked into the hands of a man who would silence them forever. A man who couldn't bear to let them go, even in death. And that's what makes this case so chilling. It wasn't about bloodlust. It wasn't about money or power. It was about loneliness, a darkness so consuming that it turned a quiet man into a predator hiding in plain sight. But here's the question that should keep us awake tonight. How many more like him are out there right now? Sitting quietly, smiling politely, living normal lives, all while hiding unimaginable secrets? Because evil doesn't always announce itself with a scream. Sometimes it whispers from behind closed doors, waiting until it's too late. Dennis Nilsen's crimes remind us of one haunting truth. We never really know the people around us. And sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones who look just like everyone else. And as you turn off the lights tonight, ask yourself, who really lives next door? And more importantly, would you even know before it was too late?